welcome you all here today. My name is Pam Vogel. I work for the Department of Personnel and Civil Service Commission, and I coordinate the internship program. Filter your applications out to the departments, keep track of who's where and what's going on. But I wanted to let you know that there were more than 80, probably closer to 90 interns this summer. So this is our third year that we've had a centralized program, and I think 15 different departments were represented, so that's pretty impressive. So you should give yourselves all a round of applause. And I know summer is a little hard because we try to catch everybody before they leave or they're finished with their internship, so I thank you for making time to come today. Without further ado, I would like to actually introduce you to the Deputy Director of the Department of Personnel and Civil Service Commission, Janet Manuel, and she would like to say a few words.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do I have to stand up here? I normally don't need that. Good afternoon. Okay, let's take two. One more time. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay. I mean, this is the end of the internship. You should be like really excited, or are you just sad to leave us? We'll take the second, right? So I am new to the city of Pittsburgh in this department, but it has been a pleasure to work with Pam Vogel and to see how she has organized this respective program for the city of Pittsburgh. And so to know that we've had almost 90 participants is just phenomenal. So just by show of hands, I'm curious, how many, by show of hands, this is your first time doing an internship for the city of Pittsburgh? Aha. So the rest, you've been here before. So for those that this is your first time, raise your hand one more time so everyone can see. And so for those that don't have their hands raised, look around. To those that have their hands raised, hopefully you can make a connection with those that have completed more than one term of an internship with the city of Pittsburgh. So that means obviously we're doing something well, but we need to do better for those that raise their hands having the first time coming to the city of Pittsburgh for an internship. We want you to come back. And we want you to continue, so all the way up through graduation, and then even once you graduate, consider full-time employment with the city of Pittsburgh. That is really the key. We don't want you just to glean and gain all of this knowledge and experience and then just go off into the sunset. We value what you have done during this summer. We appreciate what you have done for us during the summer, but we want to retain you. We want you to consider the city of Pittsburgh again when you are seeking out internships for the fall and then next spring. But as you consider, for those of you that will graduate, whether it's in the fall or next spring, and you are seeking employment opportunities, consider your experience that you had here with the city of Pittsburgh. And so for the employees in the city of Pittsburgh, I'm seeing a few, Richard and Director Gabe. Okay, great. So those that are employees of the city of Pittsburgh, raise your hand. Perfect. So keep your hand raised, but also state, we'll start with the gentleman in the back. How long have you worked for the city?
3 years.
3 years. The lady right in front, how long? 2?
1 year.
1 year.
Nearly 15.
Nearly 15. Director Gable?
43 maybe.
43. Richard? 33. So you can see that we've had those that have worked for the city of Pittsburgh for quite some time, and then we have those that are starting their career and will continue. So that should give you an idea of how good it is to work for the city of Pittsburgh. We want you to know that this is a great opportunity, not only for an internship, but for a full-time employment opportunity. And being a City of Pittsburgh employee, you get the best of both worlds. There is no other great job opportunity that you can hold where you do something that you love and then also have a great impact on the community that you live and serve in. So keep that in mind as you exit your time here with the City of Pittsburgh and you're reconsidering, where do I go for my next internship? Pause and reflect on the great experience that you had here with us this summer and reconsider and apply again and follow up with Pam Vogel so we can bring you back in the fall. And for those that are preparing to graduate, continue to look on the same form to apply for a full-time opportunity. We would love for you to become one of the finest employees to work for the best, and that is for the City of Pittsburgh. So I'm so grateful that all of you have enjoyed your time with us here. And without further ado, it gives me great pleasure and honor to introduce Mayor Bill Peduto, who has words for you as well.
See you guys. Thank you. So I'm going to ask first off if we can just go around the room. If you could just identify your name, the school you go to, and where you interned this summer.
My name is Adrienne Duras. I work with Janice Abbott, in the city of for the Library and Archives and City Planning. I'm going to be a graduate in about 2 weeks from the University of Pittsburgh in Library and Archival Science.
I'm Jonathan Charlton. I'm a graduate student at MIT, working for the Department of City Planning.
Who did you work with?
With Ray Gastel.
My name's Austin Jordan. I'm a recent graduate from Penn State, working with Mycoma and City Planning as a GIS intern.
My name is Isabel Siegel. I'm a rising senior at Taylor Alderdice High School, and I'm interning this summer with Councilman Dan Gilman.
And where were you going to school?
I'm a rising senior, so I'm not sure.
Oh.
I still have another year of high school after this.
What would you like to study?
Economics.
My name is Elias Menninger. I'm an intern with Grant Irvin in the City Planning Department in the Sustainability and Resilience sector. I go to school at the great University of Pittsburgh in Gispia, Graduate School for International and Public Affairs. I'm an international development major, and that's about it.
My name is Caitlin Buss. I also attend the University of Pittsburgh, and I am an ADA policy intern with Richard Meritzer in this Department of City Planning.
My name is Dominic Klonicki. I am a rising junior at Penn State University, and I work with the Department of City Planning with Richard Meritzer on ADA legal.
Hi, I'm Rochelle Chouinard. I'm a graduate student at Gispia at Pitt, and I'm currently working with Director Hisrich at the Department of Public Safety.
I'm Marissa. I'm also a Gispia student at Pitt. I have an internship with the Pittsburgh Office of Emergency Management and Homeland Security, which houses the Fusion Center.
Hi, my name is Kyle Murphy. I'm a current law student at the University of Pittsburgh School of Law. I'm working with Nicole Jackson in the legal department of the Housing Authority for the City of Pittsburgh.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rondell Jordan. I'm a dual degree student at the University of Pittsburgh School of Law, as well as the Heinz College at Carnegie Mellon. And I'm working with the Commission on Human Relations upstairs this summer.
Hi, my name's Ella Schaltenbrand. I'm a senior at Duquesne University studying political science, and I'm also interning with the Commission on Human Relations this summer.
I'm Justin Belton. I am interning through Public Allies Pittsburgh for the Administration Division of Innovation and Performance. I went to West Virginia University, majored in geography with a focus in urban and regional planning.
My name is Adam Andreessen. I'm a rising senior at California University, Pennsylvania. I'm a meteorology major with a minor in GIS emergency management, and I interned with the Pittsburgh Office of Emergency Management and Homeland Security.
Hi, my name's Tony. I am a grad student at the Hines College as well, at Carnegie Mellon University. And I am an intern for the Department of Public Works doing city infrastructure management. Yep.
Hi, I'm Emma. I'm a rising sophomore at Carnegie Mellon studying history and civil engineering, and I'm currently interning at the Department of Public Works.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Avram Chernoff, a recent graduate of Penn State Civil Engineering Structures, and I'm working with the Department of Public Works in the Streets Division.
And isn't this your third year interning?
This is indeed my third year.
Hi, my name is Nick Perlman. I'm a rising junior studying government at the College of William & Mary, and I'm working with management and budget.
My name is Jenna. I'm an economics major at Pitt, and I'm in the Department of Public Works with Tom Pollan this summer.
Hi, I'm Allison. I go to Pitt, and I'm going to be a senior studying political science, and I intern in the Department of Public Works with Marcel Newman and Megan Yerish.
Hi, my name is Irene Sun. I'm a rising senior at Carnegie Mellon. I'm studying violin performance and international relations and politics, and I'm working for the law department as a law intern.
My name is Greg Donahue. I'm a graduate student at Hines College at Carnegie Mellon, and I'm interning with innovation and performance.
I'm Pat Fiscaldo. I go to Indiana University. I worked in both the mayor's office and the Department of Finance with David Clark here.
Hi, my name's Adam. In the fall, I'll be a junior at Virginia Commonwealth University. I'm studying finance and political science, and this summer I interned in the Department of Finance with David Clark.
Hi, my name's Ayana. I went to the University of Pittsburgh and studied economics and psychology, and I'm an intern in public works in the architecture division.
My name is Inez Khan. I'm a rising junior at Carnegie Mellon University studying statistics and machine learning. And this summer, I interned under Laura Meixel with the Innovation and Performances Analytics and Strategy team.
I'm Jacob Wersch. I'm going to be a junior at the University of Pittsburgh and currently interning at the Operations Department, the Housing Authority of the City of Pittsburgh.
Hi, my name is Tiana. I'm going to be a rising junior at the University of Pittsburgh, double majoring in economics and urban planning, and currently I'm a finance intern for the Housing Authority.
Hi, my name's Kayla Anderson, and I go to Syracuse University for Public Relations and Public Policy, and I'm interning in the Community Affairs Department at the Housing Authority.
Hi, I'm Divya. I graduated from GESPIA this April, and I'm serving as a Student Conservation Association Fellow under Grant Irvin at the Office of Sustainability and Resilience, Department of City Planning.
Hi, my name is Tiffany. I am a current graduate student at Pitt, and I am a joint degree candidate studying policy research and analysis and also information science, and I work for the Department of Personnel. Thank you.
Great. Well, first, guys, on behalf of the people of Pittsburgh, thank you. Thank you for spending your summer with the city, but also on serving the people. You know, that's what government comes down to, and many of you will decide that that's what you want to do in your life. Some of you may decide not to. But remember, government is social service. We're the largest social service agency, and we make sure that everything that somebody doesn't have to think about is being done. You know, there's a lot of parts of city government that people go through day after day. It's the people that basically are those that have been here for a number of years who make sure the job gets done. That at the end of the day, there's no excuses, there's no reasons for it, that when a problem arises, you have a workforce that's skilled and that's able to take care of the problem and solve it and get it done. And then there's another part of city government as well that's sort of trying to figure out, where are we going to go in the future? What will this city look like 5 years? What do we have to do now in order to be able to do it? And those two parts come hand in hand. And I hope that you've had the opportunity to see both parts, that both parts are absolutely critical in providing services to people. Now, Washington has a lot of stuff that's happening down there. And a lot of it is things that you can agree with and things that you can't agree with. But it's basically become binary. It's become you're either on this side or on that side. We don't get that luxury. We have to pick up the garbage every day. We have to make sure that when somebody calls because their grandmother is sick, that there's an ambulance that arrives. We have to make sure that there are officers out doing a job, making sure that our parks are maintained and safe, and yes, making sure that the water that we drink is safe as well. So we don't get to live in a binary world. We have to live in a world with complexity. And that's what happens when you work in local government. When you meet with other mayors or other elected officials, you never ask what political party you're in. You have to guess, and it's really hard to guess because everybody's just competing to be the one who can deliver services more efficiently, more effectively, more equitably. And that is really the crux of where our resources need to go in order to be able to solve that problem in those three capacities. But it's also something else. It's an understanding that there are those within any city that are left behind. There are those that aren't asking for a handout. What they're asking for is an opportunity. And there are those that as the economy changes, they don't see the future for them. They look down the street and they see a new apartment building and say, my family will never live there. They see a new restaurant being open and say, I'll never be able to afford to eat there. And they wonder, where is the future for me? And government has a moral obligation to make sure that you're there to help lift them up too. That's a part of what Pittsburgh's past has always been. That's a part of what our future will be. And that is something that we do in delivering the services as equitably as possible to provide that opportunity. Now, I was just talking to a reporter from, I don't even know where they came from, but we were talking about the divisions politically that are separating this country. And it appears very, very real if you think about it, that person who lives in Homewood, who doesn't see how the future will connect with her opportunity in the future, is really no different than the person who lives in Fayette County, who basically works right now at Denny's after working almost half of his life in a factory that no longer exists, whose parents and grandparents were the ones who struggled in a mine in order to create a union, in order to have good working conditions. And he looks at that town that he lives in and says, where's the future here? Where's my future? Where's the future for my kids? And the more that I start looking at this issue and reading the crazy stuff on Facebook and Twitter, the more I realize that it's not a political argument. It's an economic argument of how we're creating a society that's splitting like this, and not only on the political terms, but on the opportunities for those that have and will be a part of the future and those that won't. So as you go through your career and your education, realize that there is a critical role government plays to bring it in. There's a great quote that I can't remember by Thomas Jefferson, but if you Google it, you'll find it. That talks about when it is critical to stand on principles and not to bend, and then when it is necessary to be able to listen in order to be able to get things done. And in those critical times, you really need to be able to understand what the other side's trying to say. Now, the politics of Washington, like I said, are very different than the politics that run cities. And I can tell you, having 23 years as a city employee, there has never been a better time to work in not only Pittsburgh, but in a city. Because cities are where things happen. Cities aren't only the places where the day-to-day operations are occurring and where the technology is moving at a lightning speed much faster than what you're seeing in state capitals or in Washington. Cities are the place that are tackling world issues. Cities are the place where we can look at a crisis like a refugee crisis and say, we got this, we'll each take a little bit and we'll be able to take this crisis down. Cities are the places where we can look at climate change and see the trajectory that we're on, which does not look good, and say, we got this. We'll each take a little part of it. We'll live by a commitment to reducing our carbon footprint, and we'll be able to solve it. In your lifetime, it will be very different because cities will become the focus of government, not nations. And cities will work across the country and around the world to solve the problems of tomorrow. So in the time that you were here, I hope that you saw the heroes that come in every single day, put on a uniform or put on a suit and get things done, because they're the backbone of this operation. But I also hope you had the opportunity to meet a couple of the dreamers, the ones that feel so fortunate that they get to work for the city of Pittsburgh, the ones that feel that this was what they were called to do, and to be able to say the best days of this city are in its future. That's the city you'll be taking over, whether you choose to call it Pittsburgh or wherever home may be in the future. And I hope that you had a little bit of that calling while you were here this summer to decide to take the responsibility upon yourself to make the world a better place. Not by going and working in Washington, but by going to wherever it is you call home and taking it on. So, thank you. And I look forward to working with you guys in the future as well. Thanks, Pam.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
I don't know, I was inspired by that speech, and I work here. So, and you don't have to convince me. Anyway, we have a few colleagues here, a few of your intern colleagues who are going to present and tell a little bit about what they worked on over the summer. So, I would like to invite up Jonathan Tarleton. He is working in the Department of City Planning, and I will go over and you just tell me next slide.
All right, so yeah, again, I'm Jonathan Tarleton. I'm a graduate student at the Department of City Planning at MIT in Boston. And this summer, I've been in the Department of City Planning here, working as a housing policy intern. A lot of my work in graduate school is around housing as it relates to racial and economic segregation. So it was really a great opportunity to be here for the summer, trying to sort of drive forward some of the recommendations that were put forth in the Affordable Housing Task Force this past year. So I'll go through about 4 projects that I've worked on really briefly. So next slide is great. So the first is an inclusionary housing policy for the city. So this was one recommendation that came out of that task force, and this would be a policy that would either require or incentivize developers to include affordable housing units in any new residential development in the city. So a lot of my work on this has been to support an exploratory committee made up of city employees from a variety of different agencies, as well as developers and advocates, to come up with this draft recommendation policy. So I spend a lot of time with maps and data like this, looking at market strength and where development is currently happening, to define geographies of where this policy would be applicable. And then also, because this is a policy that really is based around development occurring in the city, doing sort of the financial feasibility analysis to make sure that a policy like this wouldn't hinder development here, because then you wouldn't get development, nor would you get the affordable units that you're looking to produce. Another sort of priority of the Department of City Planning, and something I've been working a bit on, has been around comprehensive planning for the city. Looking at how policies like that inclusionary housing policy would work with other housing policy happening across the city, as well as tying into things around job creation, transportation, to make sure these are meshing and getting to a point to improve well-being for all the residents of Pittsburgh. So on this front, I've really been focused on looking at best practices and models from around the country. So I sort of identified 10 comprehensive plans that other cities have produced in the last 5 to 7 years to see both how they structured things, what sort of policies they're including in their comprehensive plans, levels of detail, et cetera, and did sort of a comprehensive lit review of that to make recommendations to the department of how to take this forward. Next slide, please. I've also been supporting a process, sort of an ongoing process in the city to reform the tax abatement structures that the city currently has. So these are sunsetting at the end of the year. after, since 1978, I believe. The city is very different from what it was in 1978. So to try to reform these policies, to both continue to incentivize development here, but also to tie that to the provision of public goods like affordable housing, like living wage jobs, and how best to do that. So I've been doing a lot of research into how other cities have approached this, specifically with tying tax abatements to those public goods, and to identify sort of recommendations of how that could be reformed. Next slide, please. And lastly, something near and dear to many of your hearts, and something I'm somewhat terrified to go back to in the Boston area with quadruple-digit rents, is around the question of student housing. So student housing really has a massive impact on local housing markets, especially in a place like Pittsburgh where there are so many students, a place like Boston, which has 1.5 billion students. So in general, students living off campus often drive up local rents and sort of directly compete with workforce housing. And so this is sort of an unintentional consequence of having great economic drivers like universities in town, is that it does produce affordability challenges to the number of people you're trying to make sure are able to still afford the city. So I've been looking at policies across the country of how other cities have handled working with universities to kind of partner either on producing additional units on campus, stabilizing affordable units in surrounding neighborhoods where they're a local economic driver as well as sort of a community group in a way, and to make recommendations for the department of how to approach the institutional master planning process that the department goes through with all of the major universities in the Pittsburgh area. So I will leave it at that. Very happy to talk more in detail with any of you about all of these things, and many, many thanks to the city and the Department of City Planning for having me this summer.
Thank you, Jacob. Any questions for Jacob? Okay. Just wanted to give everyone the opportunity if they did. I would now like to invite up Jacob Wiersch. He is serving, as he said, with the Housing Authority for the City of Pittsburgh. Come on up, Jacob.
All right.
There you go.
So thank you to everyone here, and thank you especially to Pam for inviting me to speak today. A little bit about what I've been doing this summer at the Housing Authority. So I know we already did our introductions, but I'll just go through them again real quick. My name is Jacob Wiersch. I'm originally from eastern Pennsylvania. Not sure if anyone's familiar with the Lehigh Valley area, but I grew up just outside of Allentown, Pennsylvania, just like the Billy Joel song. Came to Pittsburgh in 2015. Now I'm going to be a junior at the University of Pittsburgh, majoring in psychology and economics on a pre-medical track with minors in chemistry, statistics, and theater arts. So it's a bit of a melting pot. And usually when I tell people that, they have a reaction like, oh, poor guy doesn't know what he wants to do. But no, that's not the case, not entirely, not anymore anyway. So my interest in healthcare is primarily in policy and administrative work. So each of those different courses of study kind of helps me to build on that, build my skills, to hopefully make a contribution in that field in the future. And I've already been hard at work. Previously, I used to work as an EMT for a private ambulance company back in the Valley, and now this summer, being a permanent resident of the city, I began my internship with the Housing Authority. So I applied and was interviewed in mid-June, and it's funny, I remember distinctly during the interview process being really nervous because I could tell that the executive board, who were my interviewers, were really trying to feel me out and figure out where I would fit in the organization. And at one point I said, because of my statistics background, that I feel comfortable with data, I know data. And at that time, the CEO and the COO of the company gave each other this look. And then the COO leaned back in his chair and crossed his arms. I'm like, that is either a really good sign or a really bad sign. But fortunately, it worked out, and data got me in the door at the Housing Authority. So I was offered a position in the operations department, doing some data analysis work. And we began our major project right at the end of June, which was to organize and clean up and modify a database that the Housing Authority would then use to sort of map and visualize program usage in the Section 8 and public housing programs over history. Now we're kind of wrapping that project up, but as we wrap up that project and begin work on other projects, I continue to use tools like Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Access to help me sort of construct and analyze that data. We've also been using a lot of resources from the Western Pennsylvania Regional Data Center to help us with our project, and we're also beginning to use some mapping software, ArcGIS, to really help our final product be user-friendly and sort of visualizable for the future. Okay, so this internship was hugely important to me, and I don't know if I mentioned at the beginning, but initially I came looking for an internship at the city because I was really interested in getting my foot in the door with government and figuring out how government works on the city level. But it became so much more than that so quickly, and that goes beyond just the valuable skills that I've gained working with those tools that I talked about, because it really became something that I felt like I was satisfied that I had given back as well. So for example, together with my supervisor, we were able to develop a workshop to share some of the tools that I had been learning with other interns at the Housing Authority. I was also able to take statistics knowledge that I had learned in a classroom setting and help my supervisor apply it to a project that she was working on in real life. And that was really cool to see that become part of something real. And of course, meeting the people has been a great experience for me. I've built and made so many connections, made so many friends at the Housing Authority, and I hope to continue to build and grow those connections in the months and years to come. So real quick, I'll just wrap up. It's been a great experience for me this summer, and I really hope to round out my undergraduate career at Pitt, continuing to build and develop those skills, and I hope to hopefully someday meet my goals and make that impact that I'm really striving for. And to all the interns in the room, I wish the same to you, and to everyone else in the room, I wish you the best in your endeavors, and thank you.
Thank you, Jacob. Any questions for Jacob? Nice job. Inez, I welcome you to come on up. Inez Khan has been working, as she said, for the Department of Innovation and Performance.
Hi, I'm a rising junior, and as Pam said, I intern with Innovation Performance, specifically for the analytics and strategy team this summer. And so I did a couple projects, but I'm going to only really highlight two because there's only like 5 minutes and I don't want to keep you guys for so long. So my work has mainly been as a data science intern, but I've also done a lot of like data visualization. And so the first project that I've done is I've developed a broadband coverage map of Pittsburgh. And basically what this map does is it visualizes internet data of Pittsburgh. The data is from the FCC, and it lists, and it's current, so it's from the most current data set, so it's June 2016. And I combined this data set with the data Pittsburgh has of their neighborhoods and whatnot. So next. And so when you, so this is a home screen that I developed. You have a color-coded map of all of the neighborhoods, as well as a sidebar screen that tells you, the first thing you see is to type in your street address. So next. So say, for example, I inputted City Hall's address, which is like 414 Grant Street, and then pressed enter. So next. And then it will pinpoint you to the address that you inputted, so City Hall. And so the bird shows you City Hall. It's a cute bird. And then on the side of this, you have information specific to the area that City Hall is in, and their internet data. So if you go down, you can scroll it horizontally and vertically, because it presents as a data table. And so when you have like the full data table scrolled out, you have the provider name. So you have your traditional Comcast, Verizon, but then you have like more local names such as like Global Capacity LLC, Light Tower, and then in addition you have the service type. So you have DSL option, satellite option, and fiber optic. If consumers can buy internet from that provider or businesses, and the max speeds that they offer. So this is all data from the FCC, and I just visualized it in a user-friendly way. Another thing that you can do, so go down, is you can click on any of the surrounding areas, and you can just see, quick off the bat, what providers are available, as well as the neighborhood. So if I clicked on the Point State Park area, you see that Point State Park is under the Central Business District, and you see that Light Tower, Viasat, and GCC Communication Corp, HughesNet, and Skycaster have internet service in that area. And so the idea of this map was to provide citizens with a one-stop shopping area of just giving you brief info about what internet is available in your area, as well as what speed. So if you don't need 1,000 megabytes per second and you're on a budget, then the idea is that this tool could help citizens to find more affordable options for internet. And so the map is more or less done, and we are planning on trying to make the map launch on Monday is the current launch date, and we plan on doing social media for the map, as well as tying it with my team, which is analytics and strategies, overall theme of visualizing data, so then citizens can access the data easily for their own uses. So in addition, so it also ties in with the analytics and strategies bird's eye view. So if you don't know it, it's trying to become this one website that provides all sorts of data with tax abatements and property data and delinquencies, so then users can see what is going on with their properties. And so it's kind of the same theme, and we use the same and I use the same tools that the bird's eye view people also used in developing this map. And so the second project that I developed was more for internal use. So I took a lot of finance data that is available on bird's eye view parcels, which launched last week, to do some data analysis and also data visualization for finance to use. Because a lot of data they have a gist of what is going on with neighborhoods, but it would be nice if they could have a quick dashboard that it could easily see specific statistics and whatnot. And so this is the initial dashboard. It's not as colorful because it's internal, and so I suppose people didn't care as much about color. And so there's 4 data types that I created. And so the first is total tax delinquency, which is unpaid taxes. Then city-owned property. So I took data from the property city owns, because the city misses out a lot on revenue that they could have otherwise had from those properties. Next is chronic tax delinquency, which I defined as tax delinquency for more than 1 year, just because a lot of tax delinquency within the year is one-time mistakes or just lax payments and whatnot. And then the fourth one is total tax liens, which is the interest you get from not paying your taxes. And so if you go down, so say we clicked on total tax liens, and then once you do, you get a bar that selects input, and you get a bunch of statistics that you can click on. And so each field that you can click on, so say I clicked on total amount of liens, you get a map. And then you have a gradient that shows you roughly which neighborhoods have
the most amount of liens that they owe and which has the least. So if you see, for example, Homewood North has a lot, which is like the very dark blue in the east, and then Perry South in the west, which has a lot as well. And so you see, you have a basic glimpse of which neighborhoods owe the most amount of liens by the color. And it's a similar format for all of the other fields that you get for each of the modules. So if you go down, you can click on the neighborhood, and then you can see statistics for all of the modules that are under tax liens. And so you see that Perry South owes almost $4.6 million in tax liens. And so all this data is collected at a neighborhood basis and conglomerated. And so, yeah, these are the main two projects that I've been working on this summer. And then we're going to meet with finance and see what can be helpful and what are next steps with this dashboard. And so if you have any questions, I can answer. But yeah.
Thank you, Inez. Our next speaker I would like to invite up is Rondell Jordan.
Sorry, you guys, I didn't have much time to prepare a presentation. But first, I'd like to thank Pam for inviting me here today to share my experiences. And thank you for giving me a reason to come down from the attic, which is the 9th floor. So I've had the pleasure of interning with the Commission on Human Relations this summer. For over half a century, the Commission has investigated complaints of discrimination in employment, housing, and public accommodations in Pittsburgh. The Commission has been conducting a human rights assessment survey this summer, the purpose of which is to learn how residents perceive discrimination in Pittsburgh. Our hope is that the results will help further the Commission's purpose of ensuring equal treatment for everyone in the city. My primary role with the Commission has been administering this assessment to people all across the city. In particular, I've been tasked with ensuring that the voices of the most marginalized residents in the city are heard. This means that I've spent my summer visiting senior centers in Greenfield, refugee buildings in Lawrenceville, recreational centers in the Hill District, and LGBTQ pride events in downtown Pittsburgh. Before I made my first community visit, I mentally prepared myself for what I thought would surely be many letdowns. I knew that there would be challenges in getting people to share their experiences with me. For one, the survey is fairly long, like 30 pages. It takes time and a bit more work to read through the assessment and think critically about your responses. But the barrier that I expected to be the most difficult to overcome will be asking folks to discuss what I knew to be a sensitive topic, discrimination. I would like to believe that discrimination in our city has plummeted since the Commission began its work some 50 plus years ago. It would be awesome if folks felt that discrimination in our city was no longer an issue. However, I'm doubtful. Much like a virus, discrimination has mutated in response to previous actions to cure it. It has adapted to become more nuanced and more sophisticated than its flagrant predecessor. Discrimination in employment no longer shows its ugly head with a "Negroes Not Apply" sign in the window of a storefront. Now, employment discrimination surfaces when a female associate at a downtown law firm is passed up for promotion to partner because she is perceived as too pushy. Discrimination in housing is no longer demonstrated by banks drawing red lines around a map in neighborhoods in which they refuse to lend. Today, housing discrimination arises when a landlord refuses to rent to a single mom because he believes that Section 8 voucher recipients are irresponsible. Sleazy landlords and misogynistic lawyers are not the only people that are afflicted by the disease of discrimination. All of us are infected with this ailment. Each of us brings our implicit biases wherever we go. Not because we're all secret bigots, but because our biases make us feel safe and comfortable. They have been embedded in us through a lifetime of experiences. And honestly, it's much easier to take the mental shortcut of grouping a person into a category that we think they will fit in. Because these shortcuts are subconscious and so deeply rooted in our minds, they are difficult to recognize and even harder to overcome. It takes time and a bit more work to assess each first person we meet and think critically about who that individual is. But the hard work must be done. Pittsburgh is a city renowned for its strong work ethic, as the mayor pointed out. And my work with the commission has reaffirmed this for me. I'll be the first to admit that I was wrong about the challenges that I thought would face. Most of the folks that I've encountered have been more than willing to complete the assessment. They want to share their experiences with discrimination, and they understand the importance of ridding our society of this virus. I know that the work I'm doing with the commission this summer is one step in what's been a long road toward ending discrimination in Pittsburgh, but I'm hopeful that we will get there. I've witnessed the desire to move us along the road from folks all across the city, and every day I see the commitment to this goal in the people that I work with up on the 4th floor. So, how are you doing? So hopefully, 50 years from now, the Commission on Human Relations will no longer be needed in Pittsburgh. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rondell. And I'm actually very pleased that you were surprised that you really weren't as challenged as you thought you were going to be. I thought that was really refreshing. I would like to now invite up our last speaker, but not our least speaker, of course, Tiffany Zhu. She worked for my department, the Department of Personnel, this summer. And she's really soft-spoken. So speak up.
Hello everyone, my name is Tiffany and I am interning with the Department of Personnel this summer, and you can go to the next slide. And the city of Pittsburgh is utilizing a new human resources information management system, Oracle JD Edwards, and next one. Yeah, so here this screenshot just gives everybody an idea how this system look like. And you can go to the next one. Because our system contains the personal information of the employees, so I'm not able to provide the original screenshots, so I distort the values in the cells, but just make everybody have a idea like what's in the system. So we can go to the next one. Since we started to implement this system from last year, and we had really tight deadline to get the work of data transfer and data entry done. So there are some data missing and incorrect information in the system, but those do not impact our daily operations, such as payroll processing. And now we are getting more time to fix those detailed problems. So here is an example of one of the analysis I have done. This one do not contain any personal information of any employees in the city of Pittsburgh. And you can see like we do have some data from the system, and we do have some data from the report. So we need to find out which cities have missing values, and we have already filled in the blanks in this project. And because most of the projects I have done are related to personal information, so I just give some the title of the forms I have used to show like what kind of comparisons and what kind of analysis I have done. Like in the first one, we need to check like the start date of each employee is correct, and the second one we are verifying the job class of the employees, and the third one is the most
detail-oriented and time-consuming one is that we need to change the formatting of all the people's address. That address will appear on the paycheck we got every other week. So we want to make all the people's address meet the standard. So we did a mass update on everybody's address. You can go to the next one. Here is an example of the reports explaining how did we make the analysis. Most of the analysis are done through the Microsoft Excel, and we use some advanced functions to find out what's the error and what's the differences. We were trying to do that manually in the beginning, but things I am a information science student, so I was thinking, is it possible to do that by programming? But because our desktop had some limitations on install some programs, so we are not able to do that. So we just decided to use the Microsoft to finish that task. And you can go to the next one. In these two screenshots, there are many formulas we used to check the current data and to find out what's the correct information. And by using Excel, we really boost our work efficiency and to faster update the system, the current system. Okay. Yeah, that's all the I can display. Thank you.
She is modest by saying that's all. It was a really big project, and she was a really big help. So that's really the end of our formal program. Is there anybody else who would like to speak up a little bit and talk about the work that they've done over the summer? You're welcome to do so. Quick minute or so. All right. Well, I thank you for coming. I echo Deputy Director Manuel's thoughts that keep us in mind for interning for future semesters if you're still in school. If you've graduated, keep looking at our website for something that you may be interested in and qualified to do. Thank you.